first for the Bucks. Zeke Elliott with the dog. Jalen Smith. That is a play to remember. Oh, what a tackle by Jalen Smith.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of the Frisco Report. Today, we're going to talk heavy cornerback, all right? Because, there is the looming franchise tag is coming up here in a few weeks. So, there's a lot of conversation still looming as far as who will it go to? Will it go to Dak? Will it go to Amari Cooper? Will it go to Byron Jones? We're kind of hearing, Mike, that the Broncos have high interest. They've already kind of made it a point, but I don't even know how you leak that out there. Sometimes they say that that's tampering. So I don't know where that report came from. But, the Broncos have interest in Byron Jones. So let's talk about this. Mike, what is your take on what the state of the cornerback position opposite of Cheeto Awuzie?
Yes, and I think we need to talk about Byron. I think that's a good segue into this cornerback talk. And it's not just the Broncos. Philadelphia has high interest in a guy like Byron Jones. So does the New York Giants. So you could see a huge bidding war. If the Dallas Cowboys want to dip their hands in it, you could see a huge bidding war. And I think the market value that his team is commanding is somewhere along the lines of $16 million a year average. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, want to play in that. Yeah. Giants, Eagles, Broncos, they can have that bidding war because, we don't know what we actually have in just a guy that can bat balls down. So Anthony Brown, he's a huge piece to this defense right now. If the Dallas Cowboys know they're going to let a guy like Byron Jones walk, you got to secure yourself and bring in an Anthony Brown.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think?
Yeah, you definitely have to have, insurance policy. I think Anthony Brown will be a great, insurance policy. So, yeah, so if that's the plan, you got to get yourself that depth, keep the depth there. Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, and these guys, they'll be in the mix. And then, it's kind of pointing towards, possibly drafting a cornerback. But let's talk a little bit more here about Byron Jones, right? So, a very polarizing topic. We see there's the conversations going on in Twitter and on our YouTube pages and everywhere. It's just like Dak. You have people that love him, people that hate him. So for what we're going to talk about here, we're going to be objective about the conversation here. So let's talk about Byron Jones, the positives. What would a team like in Byron Jones, or even the Cowboys? What are the positives on Byron Jones in your opinion, Mike?
Durability. I think he's a guy that can stay healthy all year round, but it's just the nature of the position, and that's no disrespect for any corners that gotten hurt playing that position, but it's a little less wear and tear on the body. And Byron Jones, he's very durable. He's a locker room guy. He stays quiet. He's very smart. Hell, he could run for senator tomorrow if he wanted to. So that's why his nickname is Senator Jones.
The Senator. That's right.
And so, smart guy, very durable, a locker room guy. I think he's coachable. He's not a diva. When I mean diva, you look at Josh Norman, that type of diva. But he definitely isn't Darrelle Revis. He definitely isn't a Richard Sherman. When Richard Sherman was in his prime. There's pros and cons to Byron Jones. But at the end of the day, $16 million, that's just way too much money for me to pay my corner to go out there and bat balls down. What? Am I wrong?
No, and talking about the pros and cons, positives and negatives, you made a good point in one of your YouTube videos here that you just did. Saying obviously he's a great cover corner, but he doesn't get the turnovers, right?
Right.
And he's not. And this is just the honest truth. You can go back and watch these games. He does not want to tackle. He doesn't want to make tackles on these running backs or or bigger tight ends, these kinds of guys that are heading towards him, he'll throw a shoulder, but he's not gonna go for the legs or the thighs or nothing like that. And I almost kind of feel like maybe that's why he's been so durable. He's kind of had so many business decisions that he's been durable. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I'm not throwing shade on the player. I think he is a cornerback, and even Will McClay, his comment was kind of foreshadowing like he's a good starting caliber type of cornerback, but he didn't give him the type of description as, oh, he's a shutdown, we must keep this guy. If they were gonna keep him, I think McClay would have had more positive vibe to the that conversation, but he just got a lukewarm description on Byron Jones.
Yes, he did, and Mike Nolan was telling a story reminiscent about what Troy Aikman told him years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Was, I'm not scared to throw a football to a corner that I know that's going to bat the ball down.
Right.
So, if he's telling that story, Will McClay's telling this story, it's a telltale sign that there's a big exit on the door with Byron Jones's name tag underneath it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You're right. Watch the tape. Look, and we give Chido Awuzie so much crap about his blown coverages, but he's willing to tackle. And he tackles very well. He's not scared to put his nose in someone's thigh, and Byron Jones has that problem.
I remember when Cheeto, went head to head with Marshawn Lynch, one of the more physical, in-your-face running backs, and he wasn't afraid to go in there and hit him. Byron Jones would not do that. That's why when I think about Byron Jones, and that is a part of a cornerback's game. You have to be able to get in there and make tackles, unless you're just this Hall of Fame Deion Sanders getting turnovers, pick sixes. When you're that caliber of a quarterback, you can kind of get away with business decisions. But Byron is not that. He doesn't get the turnover. He doesn't get pick sixes. So,
what's crazy, Joe?
Yeah.
Is Brandon Carr was with the organization for 5 years, and Cowboy fans were screaming for his head. Yeah, he's had some, blown coverages. The most, spotlight one was against Odell Beckham his rookie year, Sunday Night Football. But they forget we won that football game. So, and the same Cowboy fans that were screaming for Brandon Carr's head is the one that's saying, let's keep Byron Jones.
Yeah.
If we wanted Brandon Carr gone for a reason, if you look at what Brandon Carr is doing versus what Byron Jones is doing, Brandon Carr made the tackles. Brandon Carr got the interceptions. And Byron Jones, I can't say that about him. They both have their flaws. Sure, Byron Jones might not get all the balls thrown at him because he's not covering, a lot of the times, not covering number one wide receivers. He don't travel with number one wide receivers. Yeah, you can blame it on the scheme that Rod Marinelli ran, but at the end of the day, I don't see enough there that equals to $16 million average.
Yeah, no, it's hard to to see them doing that, especially what they have to do moving forward. You still have these other contracts are coming up for Cheeto, X Woods, Jordan Lewis. He's a playmaker. For me, I think it would be smart to extend Jordan Lewis sometime this season. Kind of get ahead of it. Kind of like what they did with Jalen, but not grossly overpay Jordan Lewis. But I mean,
right.
This is a guy you want on your team. He's a playmaker. He'll get the ball.
He has a knack for the ball. I mean, immediately coming in, making plays.
Yeah, he turns his head. The other guys, I think Jordan Lewis thing was, I think he kind of bumped heads with Chris Richard, and maybe that was one of the things was, Jordan Lewis was gonna turn his head. He was gonna try to get the ball. He was gonna try to jump a route. It was just kind of weird, man. The Chris Richard era, it just didn't go as we thought it was gonna go here, and it was disappointing at the end of the day. But
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what if a new boss came in to your work after you've been there and says, well, I'm looking for taller guys to work on my IT stuff. Yeah, you know, yeah, you started your rookie year and you played really well, but I'm looking for taller guys. You know, I would have an issue with that if I was Jordan Lewis.
Yeah, and I think that kind of culture is going to be gone from here. I think you got, you know, we no longer have to go, you know, into this draft, you know, kind of tied to, you know, 6 foot to 6'2", 6'3" kind of guys, and you know, if they're 5'11", close enough, man, close enough. You know, why cancel out a guy that's 5'11" if he's a playmaker? You know what I mean? That just didn't make sense to me. Didn't make sense to me at all. But the other part that I like to ask people, and some people don't want to answer this, is if Byron Jones is on the okay, let's say he goes to Philadelphia, right? Zeke's running at him. Is it going to be a 3-yard gain, or is it going to turn into like a 10-yard gain? You know,
it's going to be a 10-yard gain.
Yeah, and he's not going to want to hit Zeke. Zeke is a big man. You know,
Zeke might be looking to hit him.
That's right. That's right. That's going to be a business decision all day long. They're going to be running at that side of the field all day long. I mean, I'm for it. You know, I'm not afraid of it. I'm just not. You know, not
right.
afraid of it. You know, but you know, that being said, you know, we're having this conversation, but you know, everything kind of just looks like it's pointing in that direction. So, what can the Cowboys do to shore up the cornerback position? You know, we got, you know, I don't think I know you and I don't think he's gonna get the franchise tag. So, you know, it's kind of looking like, you know, he's gonna go somewhere else probably. So, we need to figure out, how do they fill that void, Mike? Is it gonna be free agency, you feel, or is it gonna be the draft? What's your gut instinct on filling that void?
Well, let's look at free agency, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Who's available? I mean, if you look at the free agency, there's a reason why Byron Jones is probably the top corner in free agency, because if you look at him, I mean, you don't have a lot of people. I mean, Vernon Hargraves, Eli Apple. I mean, these guys, seriously, this is all you're giving me? Josh Norman, the older guy. Jonathan Joseph, he's 36 years old out of Houston. He's a free agent. I mean, if you look at the free agent side, it's scary because there really isn't a lot of guys, Joe, that you can go get. That's why Anthony Brown, you have to go sign Anthony Brown, because if I'm looking at the free agency, if I'm the Cowboys, and let's say I'm Will McClay, and I'm looking at our corners in free agency, I'm like, okay, Anthony Brown, and then we got to go draft. What do you think?
That's got to be the conversation, because yeah, you can't let both those guys go out, and obviously if you let Byron go, you kind of have to make a pretty decent push to keep Anthony Brown around. And it's not like Anthony Brown's a bad corner or anything like that. He does have reps on the outside. He does have reps in the inside. And you do have the flexibility with Jordan Lewis as well. He played on the outside at Michigan. He can play in the slot. Very versatile. He'll grab the ball. I think the competition will be open there. But yeah, you know, we're looking at this list here, and yeah, it's just not a very good free agent class. Everybody's old, you know, and you don't want to give a contract to somebody who's really in their 30s. I mean, if you do, it's probably a 1-year deal, and if that's the case, you're probably still drafting somebody, because you got to have somebody come in, you know. And none of these names just really do anything for us. I mean, Chris Harris, 31, maybe him, but you know, you're getting him on the backside.
Right.
Mo Claiborne's out there. I don't think we'll revisit that. That ship has sailed on that guy.
Exactly.
Let's see who else is out. Jason Verrett, he can't stay healthy.
And then, you know, and then people are saying, and this has nothing to do with cornerback, but you know, you got Jamal Adams out there. You know, the Lions said they're willing to ship Darius Slay. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Joe, doing that type of stuff, that's expensive draft. Yeah. That's expensive draft quality.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to trade. If we know we need 1 tech, 3 tech, strong safety, linebacker, tight end. I'm not allocating my draft picks to trades. I'm allocating my draft picks to build my roster.
Yeah, and you and I kind of talked about this offline. You don't want to say the dreaded rebuild word, but I feel like the secondary is gonna have a little bit of a soft rebuild. Because yeah, we're not one player away. If we were like one or two players away, they might go for it. They might do that Darius Slay, but we're not. We have a lot of holes and some areas that need. They need to be bolstered big time, and the middle of that defense is number one, or probably 1B. The cornerback, assuming if Byron's gone, that probably goes up to 1A. Just because these guys they don't really do anything, and even if you sign them on a 1-year deal, you're probably still drafting a cornerback within the first 3 rounds. I would say,
You would have to.
Yeah, Brashard Breeland, he's out there, 28. That might be a decent one. Kevin Johnson, I know the Cowboys had interest in him during the draft process. Former Texan, has some health issues though, couldn't stay healthy. These kinds of guys, they might do a little short-term deal. Trey Waynes, we talked about him, 28 years old, but nothing that really gets you excited. Just be like, okay. Ronald Darby, he's 26, but he can't stay healthy. So there's a lot of guys out here that are just beat up, not very good. So now the question is, we're looking at draft prospects, right, Mike? And we kind of touched on this on our mock draft. You had AJ Terrell out of Clemson.
My second round pick, yeah.
Second round pick, and I strongly believe he will be in there. And I feel like he's not getting enough attention. I feel he's better than Bryce Hall out of Virginia. That's just my opinion. C.J. Henderson. If you're looking for somebody that's probably gonna jump routes and get turnovers, it's Trayvon Diggs. I mean, he had 3 interceptions this year, and brother of a Stephon Diggs. So there's the hands. I think he actually started out as a receiver. I think maybe his freshman year, and converted him to cornerback. And that's I think that's one of the things they say. A cornerback is a wide receiver that didn't have hands. I think that's what the saying is, right?
Yeah, that's the saying. That's why he plays defense. Can't catch the ball.
But he does. But he did. He did get some turnovers this year, and he's got some good size to him. 6'2", 207. Obviously, you have the LSU guy, Christian Fulton. He's a good one too. Jeff Okudah will be way out of our range. No way he's gonna slide. But it is pretty deep. I mean, I wouldn't say deep, but you could probably get you somebody here within the first 2 rounds. If you want somebody to start for you as a rookie, it's gonna either probably be at 17 or 51.
Yeah, 17 and 51. Really with any position, defensive tackle, strong safety, or corner. 17, 51. I feel like you got to invest those draft picks there. Clemson. AJ Terrell. Yeah, we just talked about him, but I'm raving about this guy. You brought up Diggs. Absolutely. Why not, right? And then you drafted C.J. Henderson in your first round, and I'm a green light for that too. So, so many players that the Cowboys can take, and that's quality play.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's just gonna be interesting to see what these guys do at the combine. I can't wait for the combine. I'm gonna be covering it almost live. I will definitely be tweeting as the prospects are going through their drills and that kind of thing. But these are some of the names you're gonna be wanting to watch. You got Cameron Dantzler, Mississippi State. He's got size to him, 6'2". Lamar Jackson out of Nebraska. He's a 6'3" guy. But these guys can probably have Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame. Obviously I'm a fan of the university, so I know he's a good one. But he's in that 5'11" range. So that 5'11", that's where the conversation comes into play. With the previous administration, 5'11",
Right.
nah. Let's mark him off. Let's mark him off. I feel with this one with McCarthy, that won't be the case. So you could draft a Troy Pride Jr. You could get him. You might be able to move down the second round for sure. Maybe in the third round you might be able to get him there. But he could be a steal for you. So lots of names here. Definitely within the first 3 rounds. It just depends on when does the dreaded run happen. We always talk about the run on offensive tackles. When does that start? When does the run on wide receivers begin? When what I'm saying? When does the run begin for cornerbacks? Is it going to be? I have a feeling it's going to be. You're going to have your top tier guys in the first round, and then I could see the run going in the second and third round. So it's going to be interesting to see what options will be there for the Cowboys. But yeah, man.
Bryce Hall, Virginia.
Mm.
Christian Fulton, LSU. I mean, these are 6'1", 6 foot guys, 200 pounds. I mean, there's no reason why, you can't get talent there, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just like our top end guys that we've kind of been looking at. Jeff Gladney out of TCU. He's a good one as well. He's a little slender for me though. I think you got to add some more.
What
mass.
Is he? 183? I think he's 183.
180 something, 185 something, somewhere like that. But that's kind of slender. 6 foot, 180 something. Might need to pack on some muscle or But yeah, man, it's Cowboys, man. They got a lot of work, man, and we're getting down to it. There's been no movement. There's been nothing as far as the Dak Prescott contract, and then they always talk about deadlines make deals. Like, why does it have to be like that with the Cowboys? I swear, every year it's like this.
It is, and Jerry Jones. I mean, that's his. I'm sure he has a plaque somewhere in his office that says that deadline makes deals, because that's, I mean, besides Tank Lawrence, and that was just a tricky situation in itself with the surgery and not getting surgery, whatever. Des Bryant was a late signing, stuff like this. So
yeah,
these Cowboys, and what's crazy? Like, there's nothing leaking out. Like, Mike McCarthy's team is like tight because there isn't. Cowboys are really interested in this guy. Cowboys are really interested in that. I mean, there's really no movement from the Mike McCarthy staff.
That's true. That's very true. So it makes you wonder, like, why the supreme secrecy? We're getting to it, and like we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. What's good about the combine is this kind of will jostle some of the conversation and rumors. You're going to hear about, so and so wants to be moved, they want to do a trade. This person's on the trade block. We're leaning more towards franchise tagging Amari, or we're going to franchise Dak. Like, something will leak out. I think that's when we might hear a little bit more on this. But I mean, we are getting very close to it. So, what is your take on this, Mike? Let me ask you this. Let's take Byron Jones out of the equation. They're going to let him walk and this and that. If the franchise tag between Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott, which direction would you go?
That's a good question. Me, and I said this because I do roundtables too, and I said this on the roundtable. You got to sign Amari Cooper. And franchise tag Dak. And I think I touched on this in my video that I dropped today. And here's why before y'all cut my throat open. Amari Cooper is a playmaking wide receiver. We can argue about the ankle all day long, but you got to extend Amari Cooper. You look at Dak's stats compared to before Amari Cooper came in to when Amari Cooper came in. And that's the piece that Amari Cooper brings. If he can stay healthy, which I think he can, honestly, he demands double coverage. If you don't, you're getting burnt. That helps the running game. That helps guys on the other end, Michael Gallup. And Dak Prescott, this is why I'm saying franchise tag him. You ready for this, Joe? Because it's a true West Coast system offense that Dak Prescott's going to be in. It's Mike McCarthy's offense with Kellen Moore's language in the headset for Dak to call those plays. And if Dak can really, truly play in a West Coast offense, win a playoff game, win 2 playoff games, there's no risk. Pay him. Whatever the market is, pay him. There's no need to pay him now, and he can't flourish under a legitimate West Coast offense. That's my fear. We're going to pay him all this money, 5-year, 4-year deal, and he struggles in a Mike McCarthy offense. The Mike McCarthy offense won a Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
And if Dak can take that West Coast offense, go to an NFC Championship game, which has been 26 years since the Cowboys even been there, it was worth the gamble, Joe. That's why I say franchise tag Dak Prescott and extend Amari Cooper.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating conversation, man, because it's you're kind of looking as far as who do you want, who do you feel more comfortable long term, right? And who are you kind of still questioning? Like, I feel like if we're still questioning Dak at this point, it's not it's not a good thing, It's not, and we're not hating on Dak or anything like that. We're just saying, it's why is this still a conversation? If he's your guy, he's your guy. Pay the guy the money. I hate that we go through this like every year with some player, Zeke, Dez, DeMarcus Lawrence. Now it's Dak's turn. Is he gonna be in Cabo if they tag him? I hate this crap. Like, just take care of everything in the off season. Let's go to camp, no distractions, and let's start whipping some butt here. It's always got to be some distraction, and it's super annoying to me.
Did you see what Brian Broaddus tweeted out or wrote an article on 103 The Fan?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He said that during the course of the season, Jerry Jones was questioning the current staff if Dak Prescott was our guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Byron and Brian and Broaddus just don't throw things out there. That must have really happened. And Broaddus has he used to be a scout for the Cowboys, so he has a lot of connections in that group. And I believe it. And just from the Cowboys, and it's not, and the rumor wasn't true that, Dak said turned down $33 million a year and said he wanted 40. Yes, he turned down $30 million a year, but it's not a proven fact that he wanted 40. So he did up his price, but if the Cowboys knew Dak was their guy, and let's say the price was a $3 million difference, a $36 million average a year, if the Dallas Cowboys really believed that, they would have done it. And they didn't do it. And now, during the course of the season, Jerry Jones is questioning, hey, is Dak really our guy? And if you remember, DallasCowboy.com, when we drafted Dak Prescott, dropped a video of Jason Garrett convincing Jerry Jones that this was the right move to take Rain Dakota Prescott in the 4th round of the draft. Jason Garrett was convincing Jerry Jones. So even at that time, Jerry Jones really didn't believe in Dak until Jason Garrett convinced him. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is. It is. That's an interesting thing there. Coming from Broaddus, I know he has his ear to the ground there. He hears a lot of things and whispers and that kind of thing. So I think we will miss that part of his information. These moving forward, because he's no longer with the team, but. That doesn't mean that he's still not hearing things. Even now, he still has friends in the building. So it'll, I trust and I totally respect Brian Broaddus. So I there's no way he's just making this up. So there's something to it. When there's smoke, there's fire, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tag him. And let's see how he does with Mike McCarthy. And if he looks good, if he's McCarthy's guy, you extend him. Maybe he does end up being at $37 million by that time, but that's fine if he's rolling and we're getting to the NFC Championship or whatever. Hey man, pay the guy. You know what I mean? But on the
exactly
on the bad part, I guess on the negative part, if he doesn't look good in this this new administration, then you know that we got to get McCarthy a guy here. We're probably gonna have to do something big here for 2021. So
Exactly. And I don't know. It's going to be pretty interesting. And, Mike McCarthy's press conference wasn't, I came here because of Dak Prescott. Don't just read a headline and say, oh, Mike McCarthy came here for Dak. Oh, Jerry Jones hired Mike McCarthy to develop Dak. Jerry Jones hired Mike McCarthy to win ball games, and that was said in the press conference way before Mike McCarthy even said the word Dak Prescott. And so Jerry Jones brought in Mike McCarthy because he can win in the National Football League. And don't read the headlines as you're crazy. Jerry Jones brought in Mike McCarthy for Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy came to Dallas for Dak. No. They came here to win football games with or without Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, he's a top-tier coach. And when there's a top-tier coach of that caliber available on the market, you got to make a move. So I'm glad he's our guy, and I'm excited to see what he does moving forward, But,
me too.
Yeah, so it's a tricky situation. There's good arguments for either one, for if you want to tag Cooper, maybe you don't quite trust the health or the passion. I don't know. Because then we're coming up on year 4 on Michael Gallup this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to make a decision on him, on how much you're going to want to pay him. So, a lot of contracts are going to start piling up on the Cowboys. So, they got to make some shrewd moves. All right, Mike?
They have to. And, Cowboy fans, some of them might pull out their hair and wonder, what the heck they're doing, But at the end of the day, they're doing what's best for the business.
Best for the business, yeah, because this is a business at the end of the day. So it's like, and I think that's where, you get the conflict with the fans. You're so invested in these players. Like, I bought the jersey, I went to training camp, I got his autograph. I'm a Mississippi State fan. I love that. You know what I mean? Or Amari Cooper. I love Alabama. I just love him. You get these fans that just get so enamored that they can't separate themselves from the football to the business and the contract, for the player.
You're right.
So
you're right.
It's an interesting dynamic, but we'll continue to follow this as it comes along. Like I said, next week towards the end of next week is the combine. Maybe we'll hear a little bit of something, where they're leaning towards.
Maybe we might drop 2 shows next week.
Yeah, no, I actually, guys, that's actually a good idea. We're probably gonna do one for sure. Well, obviously, always on Tuesday, you guys can hear us, but we will do one. Yeah, I think we need to do that, Mike. So for you guys, we'll give you a scouting combine breakdown, who stood out, who came out of nowhere, who moved into the first round conversation, who fell out of the first round conversation, who's a knucklehead, who failed the drug test, who has medicals. We'll talk about all of this stuff, guys, and we'll most importantly, we're gonna have a little hint as to who the Cowboys have interest in. With those names, we'll have those names for you, and we'll be able to break down the players a little bit closer.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
I can't wait, bro. I can't wait. So I think that's it, guys. We kind of made this more of a cornerback-centric conversation today, but we kind of touched on a lot of things here. Obviously, the franchise tag, where do we go with it, the Dak and the Amari Cooper. So a lot of good information for you guys. We gave you some names here for the cornerbacks. You guys should go out and check out, make your own opinions on these players that we talked about for the draft. Let us know what you guys think in the comments and give us a 5-star review. Mike, let me know where these guys can find you if they haven't already. Where can they find you?
Dallas Cowboy Football News on YouTube, Dallas Cowboy Football News on Facebook, DCF News 1 on Twitter, guys. I've been getting a lot of followers, and you can ask them. I follow you back. And if you want to have a conversation, give me a mention, give me a DM, and let's have that conversation. Thanks for having me, Joe. Another one in the books.
Another one in the books, everybody. So I really do appreciate you guys. Continue to follow both of our channels. Follow us on Twitter. We do have one especially for the Frisco Report, and that's at the Frisco Report. All right, guys? But that's all we have right now for you guys. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace out, everybody. Peace.
Peace.